Welcome back. Today's lesson will cover the group by clause. Group by is a SQL clause that allows you to organize data into groups based on the values in specified columns. It's essential for performing calculations on distinct groups of data rather than the entire dataset. To understand this group by clause, let me demonstrate it with a simple example. Take a look at this very small fruits quantity table. Apple appears twice with values 5 and 4. And there is a double occurrence of orange with values 3 and 2. Now, let's say you want to know how many apples and oranges there are in total. I know at a glance you can tell. But with SQL, we could be dealing with millions of data points. In order to solve this effectively, we need to group apples and oranges and sum up their values. That is exactly what the group by clause does. If we wrote the query select fruit, sum quantity from fruits quantity, group by fruit. This is exactly the output we get, each unique fruit with its total quantity. Is this confusing? Maybe you're wondering how the database is able to do the selection when we start with selecting columns, then selecting tables, and then grouping by. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to write a selection of columns if you have not selected a table. Note that in databases, there could be numerous tables. So selecting some columns and subsequently selecting a table or tables should make no sense to anyone. There is a fundamental concept in database design that I need to explain before we delve further into demonstrating group by. This fundamental concept is known as the logical query processing order in SQL. Note that in earlier lessons, we have all come to realize that in writing our queries, we move in this order, from select to from to where, and then group by, even though we are just introducing it now. Then we move to having. We haven't covered having yet, but we will in a later lesson. The next clauses are order by and limit. This is the order in which the query is written. But as I earlier mentioned, this doesn't make logical sense. You can't select columns if you don't have a table. So even though queries are written in this order, this is not how the database works in its engine. When your query is processed, first, the database identifies which table to retrieve the data from using the from statement. Second, the database filters the rows from the result based on the specified where condition, if one is specified. Third, if there is a group by clause, the database will organize the filtered rows into groups based on the specified columns. Each group will contain rows that have the same values in the group by columns. Fourth, the database filters out groups that don't satisfy the having condition. The having condition is like a where clause, but works with groups rather than individual rows. We will delve into it later. It is only at this point that it will be possible to select columns. The database then determines which columns to include in the final results based on what is specified in the select statement. Aggregate functions are computed at this point if there are any. Next, the database sorts the result set based on the specified columns in the order by clause, either ascending or descending as specified. Finally, the database restricts the number of rows returned with the specified limit if it is specified, optionally skipping a specified number of rows before beginning to return rows if an offset is specified. With this clearer understanding, let us try and solve a problem. Take a look at our updated employees table. It has employee ID, first name, last name, department, and salary as headers. Now here is a question asking us to write a specific query. Write a query to find the top 3 departments with the highest average salary. Show the department name and the average salary. Order the results by average salary in descending order. You should possibly pause the video, write this question down, and now let's write the query exactly how the database works in its engine. The database starts by identifying the employees table containing all 10 employee records. The database identifies the 3 departments, engineering, sales, and finance, and organizes employees into these groups. John, Lisa, Michael, and Emily in the engineering group, Robert, David, and James in the finance group, and Maria, Sarah, and Jennifer in the sales group. With the table selected and the departments grouped, the database will now be able to reasonably calculate the average salary for every department. So now, the select department average salary can occur inside the database. The database can now sort with order by, ranking the departments from highest to lowest average salary. The database will now return the top 2 departments by average salary since we included limit 2 in our query. So the sales row will actually not be part of the output. That is why I have canceled it out. It would only be included if we had not included the limit function, or if we had used limit free. With this understanding of how powerful group by is, and an understanding of the logical query processing order, we should now be able to write our queries like real professionals by starting with the from statement in our minds and following the correct order as it happens inside the database. Thank you for joining me for today's very important lesson. Read the learning notes, submit the practice questions, and join me in the next lesson for more thrilling SQL concepts.